Now, live from WUSA 9, this is 9 News This Morning at 9 a.m.
Back over to you.
All right, Kim, thanks. The Beijing Olympics are now on course to become the first to ever sell out. All tickets to events in Beijing gone. A few remain for events outside the city, but there could be much more at stake for the U.S. than just gold medals. Jeremy Haft is the author of All the Tea in China. He joins us now with a look at the business impact on the Olympics. Welcome. Let me ask you, what do you see as the potential impact long-term or short-term even?
Well, short-term and long-term, it's been a bonanza for American companies. Folks don't realize, because we're sort of hurting over here, that China is a major market for American goods and services. In fact, they're our third largest export market, and exports are really the one sector that's booming in our economy right now. We don't often know it, but exports are growing 30-40% year over year, and that's not just big corporations. That's small businesses, and that's in congressional districts across the country. So what the Olympics is doing is it's jump-starting that. It's giving American companies a platform to sell more goods and services into China, and in building markets, it's going to help them continue to do that well after the Olympics as well.
You've done business over there. Is there a different protocol to getting your feet on the ground over there? Or?
Everything is different. It's not a flat world. It's very much a round world, and I think this product recall issue draws attention to it. We assume that China is a bottomless ATM of cheap products and cheap labor, but when you actually try to do business over there, you realize how different it is. One big difference is in how many players it takes the Chinese to make a typical product. We have a very efficient system. What might take us 3 players to make a particular product, from raw material to factory to distribution, might take the Chinese 15 to 19 individual players. Each player adds risk, time, and cost, and that's something that big companies and small companies run aground on time and time again.
I met someone who spent some time over there, wrote a book about his experiences, but one of the things he said that was so comical about working in China is everybody had a business card. Everybody was constantly doing angles, and everybody had like a side business and that sort of thing. Everybody over there is like an entrepreneur.
Everyone is an entrepreneur. It's a culture of 1 billion entrepreneurs, in effect, and business cards can be like resumes. So you'll get a business card that folds out twice and 3 times, and they have all their board positions and side jobs. And the one piece of advice is don't ever put someone's business card in your pocket, because in essence you're sitting on that person's face or sense of respect.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Let's talk about news coverage, because there's been a lot of talk about how the Chinese government's going to try and do this, kind of hammer down censorship, try and put a lid on everything. You suspect things are going to happen and a lot of this is going to get out.
It is going to be very messy, and the Chinese are realizing this now, that you can't stage manage an event of such magnitude. We're going to see protests from the athletes as well as from citizenry, and how China deals with that is going to be very illustrative of their position in world affairs going forward.
Their tendency, though, is always to have a tight grip. You don't see it loosening up for this, though, do you?
You do. Actually, the press sector, the press estate in China is very much a push and pull. It's a tug of war between the state, which is trying to clamp down, and a public and a media which is yearning for more information. So look at the Sichuan earthquake. Justice is behind this. Families whose children were killed and who want justice, and the media want to cover 24 hours the facts. And so you have much more aggressive media coverage in China than ever before, and I think you're going to see a push and pull as to what the Chinese will allow and what NBC, CBS, and others are covering throughout the games.
We all remember Tiananmen Square, and it seemed like that whole movement crushed there with the deaths of young students. But you've spent some time there. You do see incremental steps over time, do you?
I do, actually. And Tiananmen was more than just a cater of dissidents. It was a movement, a generational movement, that began more as an attempt to bring anti-corruption measures to China, to bring clean government to China, and there's a generation in power now that's moving the needle bureaucratically every day towards more and more reform. You see local elections at the local level, you see more independent judiciary. Those are all movements that were brought out of the Tiananmen uprising. So Tiananmen is not dead. In fact, it's still very much alive and driving policies in China today.
All right, Jeremy Haft, thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Some insights there.